I will call this meeting to order. This is a Thursday, August 7th, regular scheduled meeting of the Asheboro City Council. If you would, please stand and join me in a moment of silent meditation, and we will follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right up top tonight we have the public comment period. So if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address the council from the podium here on any matter of city business or concern, this is your opportunity. And we have this every meeting, usually toward the top of the agenda. And I would invite you to, the first person to stand up. If you do speak to the council, is there a pad up there? Okay, there is a pad, and I'd like for you to print your name. And the purpose of that is for no other reason than we transcribe the tape, the audio tape. Sometimes we can't get somebody's name exactly right. So if you print it, it'll be right in the record. So, anybody first? Come on up.
All my life. With the last name of Allen, you go first in everything. You're sitting in front of the room and everything. Might as well keep going. Mr. Mayor, council members, and everybody else, it's the only way to say it. My name is Michael Allen. I appreciate you taking the time to hear me. Some concerns have been on my heart for about a couple of months. Through riding around with me and my wife and just some things that are happening. I know on the agenda tonight is going to be about junk cars. What I'm speaking about is not junk cars. They may look like they're junk cars, but they're still moving. And what I'd like to say is, first of all, I'd like to say, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the city council and yourself and all those involved. When I came before you several years ago, you helped us get the speed limit lowered in our neighborhood, and it was greatly appreciated. Does everybody abide by that? No, but it's there. So what I'd like to speak is, my name is Michael Allen. In our neighborhood and others, we have cars that are parked, not in just the driveway, but in the yard. Several cars in the yard. I understand if you have a holiday festivity of some sort going on, people park in the yard. But these are cars that are 3 or 4 that are parked in the grass, which will tear the grass up and really bring down the value of a home in the neighborhood if you have multiple cars that are parked. I know of at least one house on Elm Street that was taken care of. The code enforcement Chuck was extremely helpful. I kid you not, there was probably 15 cars in that yard. And that's what we're looking at. You know, people park in the front of the yard. They bring their trailer and park it in the front of the yard. They bring their cars and park it in the yard. My question is, one of the questions, how do we get an ordinance that prohibits that and only permits on paved or gravel parking? I understand that some people park in the grass and they move their car. They go to work, they move it. But we'd like to see, you know, I believe Guilford County had an ordinance. I'm not sure about how that was enforced. I'm here to just listen to what you guys may have to say about that.
Well, Michael, we generally don't do a lot of give and take at this public comment period.
Okay?
But, we have, as you know, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
Chuck's the best in the business. Chuck is out there getting camps out of the way, closing a camp, and it's like whack-a-mole. You know, put out a camp, they move over here.
Yeah.
But we have, for many years, spent a lot of time trying to encourage people and keep people from parking in the grass, because in this weather, that yard is going to end up in the street.
Yes, sir.
And somebody has to clean that up, and it's generally not the property owner.
No, sir,
It's
it's not.
generally us. So, Chuck watches that. We just cleaned up, did we do trim up?
No, it starts next week.
Okay. We've got a really bad situation up north town that the guy has just thumbed his nose at us and refused us. We've had, the legal process requires a hearing and identifying the cars that we want to tow as not someone else's car. We don't want to show up and tow a car that belongs to you,
I understand.
but at the same time, we have check VINs and do all this. But Chuck is on that. And what I would suggest, as far as an ordinance, you might want to talk to our our planning and zoning people downstairs in the front office,
Okay.
first office when you come in, and stay close to Chuck. You tell Chuck what your neighborhood is, a specific violator, Chuck will take care of it.
If I may, Chuck and I've known Chuck when I worked at Klausner, and then when I moved back. We've been in communication quite often, and I've actually sent him some stuff, and he said, that's perfect, that's great, that's what I need. I know Elm Street, another place on Elm Street, and those places. I'm not out to be the almighty enforcer of rules and regulations, but
But if we
When I-
can't get the people to voluntarily do what's right, and anything like this affects the value of their next door neighbor and down the street, like a domino effect, and pretty soon the neighborhood's in peril. So, we just have to start at one spot and just keep working. And maybe, now I'm not speaking for the council or the manager, but maybe it's time for a little stronger ordinance.
okay. I'm familiar with that house. My wife, she has emailed, I believe, all the council members, and some have returned emails. You know, I understand y'all got a whole lot going on in the city, so we appreciate it. But she said, Michael, let's go look at that house. And if any of you know me, when I say I was speechless, when I drove by the house on the north end of town, I was just like, and that was odd for me to be speechless.
Yeah,
And I was like, how does that happen?
well,
I appreciate y'all taking the time.
happens over a period of years
Mhm.
where people don't care. And we didn't have Chuck Garner on the job. And Chuck worked really hard to look after Asheboro, to make sure that things are right. And I gotta tell you, our approach to these homeless camps, while that's not what we're talking about, but our approach there is, you wouldn't want that camp in your backyard. I certainly don't want it in my backyard. And we just do all we can to close those down and discourage those. So it's the same thing with the cars.
Okay. Well, I thank y'all very much for your time.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Ma'am, on the back road, did you have, come on.
Good evening, Mayor. It's really good to see you. council members, city manager, and all staff. My name is Tori Nelson, and I'm the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity of Randolph County. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight, and thank you for the service and the leadership that you give to our city. I know budget season is difficult, and I respect the weight of the decisions that you're asked to make. I come tonight not with criticism, but with care and a reminder of who Habitat is. We are Habitat, and yes, we build homes, but more than that, we build community. We're a small local affiliate located right here in Randolph County, and our work is deeply connected to workforce development, neighborhood revitalization, and economic opportunity, all through the mission of affordable housing. It's no secret that housing is becoming harder and harder to afford. Habitat steps into that gap. Our homes are not free. Families earn them. We work alongside them to build homes that they can afford through community-powered construction, through no or low-interest mortgages and partnerships. It only works because of donors and volunteers and leaders like you. And together, we make Habitat. This year, we weren't awarded city funds for home construction. And while I don't know all the reasons why, I'm here to say that we are still here. And we're doing the work. And we're doing it one family at a time. Just 3 weeks ago, we handed the keys to a family of 9, a hard-working mom and dad raising school-aged children and a preschooler. And it was our first 5-bedroom home that we've ever built. And to the city council members who attended to the dedication, we thank you. And that family, they are Habitat. And a few doors down, we're building with a single mom who's logging sweat equity hours. She's swinging her own hammer, and she's not just building a house. She's building her future. She is Habitat. And she's here tonight along with our board chair, Mr. Taylor Calicut. He leads us with integrity and with heart, and he is Habitat. We did not come tonight to ask for a do-over in the budget, but we are asking to be seen as a partner, as a comrade. We want to help solve the housing challenges our city faces. We welcome the chance to align your goals with our vision. We want to make an impact and make it visible alongside the city. We want to be partners and not petitioners. We are ready to link arms with you. We are Habitat, and we'd be honored to stand beside the city of Asheboro in building something better together. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak. I welcome any questions that you might have for me.
Question?
I don't have any questions, but Mayor's wife was over at my house today, and I was wearing a T-shirt. And it was the 10th annual Habitat for Humanity Pig Out in the Park, which is something that Larry Reed and I started. And that T-shirt's date was 2015. So we started that. Remember, that was really old. That's an old T-shirt.
And you fit in it.
I still fit in it, yeah. But back then, I know Larry and I, serving on that fundraising committee, I mean, we spent a lot of hours. We raised a lot of money for Habitat Homes.
Yes.
And the city has a good history of providing money for Habitat Homes. Just this year is kind of like the perfect storm. Everybody wanted money this year.
Yes.
And while we couldn't provide it, let me encourage you to continue to do some fundraising.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, start a fundraising committee. This is a very generous community in which we live, and you will find that people will support you if they will go out of their way to buy a barbecue sandwich or a whole shoulder or just drop money in a jar to help you. And I know that might not sound like it's a whole lot, but it doesn't take a whole lot. A little bit here and a little bit there, and you've built another house, and you've housed 9 more people.
Yes.
So let me encourage you to do some more fundraising. We may get you back on at another time, but right now, and I understand your frustration with what our budget was this year, the disappointment that you had in that. But we try to be as good a stewards for the taxpayers' dollars as we can, and do some fundraising.
Absolutely, yes, and thank you. Thank you for all your support in the past, and we're disappointed, not begrudging what you guys have in front of you ever. So thank you for your consideration, and I did just want to put my face in front of yours. It's a new face for Habitat, and just to say thank y'all so much.
Sorry I didn't make the grand opening or your dedication that day, but I've been in the hospital.
I know. Extra.
There'll be
thanks.
more. There'll be like 3 more dedications on McMaster Street. So
Yes.
there's a lot to celebrate on that street.
Yes.
And we are happy to partner with you to provide the infrastructure needed to have those houses there.
Thank
So,
you, thank you.
If I may inform council to date, that McMaster Street project will be about $205,000 of city funds in the infrastructure. That's water, new water sewer connections, new sewer main, new water main and water connections, and street rehab and repavement. So
Yes.
that's the estimate for the total expenditure right now.
One thing I've learned in my years here is that most of the money is out of sight. Water, the sewer, the infrastructure that supports your homes or your street or whatever, your neighborhood. And this year just was one of those years where we had to cut everybody. So I apologize, and maybe next year we can get back to something that's a little more reasonable for you.
Yes, sir.
We certainly are proud of our relationship and proud of what you've been able to do. You get another Sam Ramsey and have another golf tournament, you'll be all right.
We're working on it next month, actually.
He just
so,
gave me a
yes.
call this week.
Yes,
I
he's
got one
on it,
too.
yeah. But thank you very
Sure.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody? Last chance. Going and gone. All right, we'll move on to item 4. And item 4 is a public hearing that I will open on proposed allocations of funding for economic development purposes unrelated to real property or specific business location incentives.
Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Before you begin, Mr. Mayor, there's a recusal motion that would need to be asked for you since you serve on the board as ex officio member.
Is that the one I need to recuse myself from?
Yes, sir. They'll require
It
council.
says right here, recuse. I will entertain a motion from council to allow me to go home.
Mayor, I move we recuse you from this one item 4B. How about that?
All right. We have a motion for recusal from Mr. Bell. Do I have a second?
Second,
Where was Kelly?
Eric
Okay,
Charlie.
Ms. Heath. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Walker, it's all yours.
Under the presumption that we are in fact officially in the public hearing, I will now continue this public hearing and hear a presentation from Finance Director Debbie Reeves.
Thank you, sir. As the mayor and Mr. Moffett have mentioned, this is a discussion about proposed allocations of funding for economic development purposes unrelated to real property or specific business location incentives. Funding for these economic development partnerships has been approved in the 2025-26 general fund operating budget. So this is not a funding decision specifically as allocating new funds. The funds are there, but we have to discuss and actually approve that allocation separately for some legalities that we need to adhere to. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the relationship the city has with these agencies. The city has partnered for many years and supported financially some local agencies for economic development activities. These include the Randolph County Economic Development Corporation, the Asheboro Randolph Chamber of Commerce, and Downtown Asheboro Incorporated, also referred to as DAI. And then you've got Randolph County RCEDC. For Randolph County Economic Development, they work on new industrial manufacturing company recruitment, site selection. They also support existing industry manufacturing, provide technical assistance, they provide training, they assist with financing, They help businesses navigate through economic incentives that are at the state level, and deal with some international trade services and information. The Chamber of Commerce, their focus is more small business assistance, resources, and advocacy, trying to help business development, promoting community events, and promoting different businesses. They also do some local youth and adult leadership training, and have some focus on downtown center city development and support. Downtown Asheboro Incorporated, their effort is to create a vibrant downtown district through preservation-based community revitalization, foster and stimulate economic growth and development downtown, focusing on 4 key pillars, which we refer to as organization, economic vitality, promotion, and design. DAI is an accredited member of the North Carolina Main Street Program, and DAI is tasked by the City of Asheboro to facilitate this Main Street program in Asheboro. In addition, DAI also is involved in promoting downtown through various media formats and public events. One of the most recent things that you see in the summer are the summer concerts that bring a whole lot of people downtown to enjoy music and go to the different businesses downtown. The amount of funding that each of these agencies has requested is $55,000 for Randolph County EDC, $75,000 for the Chamber of Commerce, and $105,000 for DAI. 45 of this for DAI is for the North Carolina Main Street Program, and $60,000 is for their efforts in developing and promoting concerts for the citizenry. There is nothing for you to vote on, but we need to go through that with you. And I guess, Jeff, is there anything they need to do since the funding is already there?
There still has to be the formal approval of the allocation that is going on, so there will be a vote. But Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, if you wouldn't mind asking if there's any public comment.
Yes, this being a public hearing and appointed time and place, if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to have commentary on Ms. Reeves' presentation, now would be the time. Please come forward. And as Mayor Smith, if you may please print your name, especially you.
Hopefully you'll be able to understand it if I write it.
It's all in the accent.
It is, isn't it?
You can print with an accent as well.
Yep. Vowels and consonants, but not 2 in a row. There you go. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and even though you definitely recuse yourself, Mr. Mayor, it's good to see you in your seat this evening. I just wanted to thank you for your consideration for this funding request. It is hugely appreciated by the Chamber. I'm very aware, even though I'm just a year into my role here, there's been a long-standing relationship and a very productive relationship with the City Council. I'm very grateful that you have continued your personal, professional, council member support to the Chamber and to me personally. I feel as though during this last year we've been able to develop some new ideas, looking forward to some new projects coming on. I'm still excited by them. Keep me awake at night. I like to think that's excitement, not stress. But very much looking forward to continuing this relationship with you. So thank you very much. Obviously, if you do have any questions anytime, you know where I am.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for taking on the operations. Is there anyone else that wishes to address council on this matter? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment period, and as per council, I will ask council for a motion and an action that these appropriations be noted as outlined by Ms. Reeves in the budget.
Mr. Moffitt, real quickly, if I could, I did want to make council aware, I did speak with Kevin Franklin. They do send, Kevin and Chris will send their regrets about not being here tonight. They did have a conflict and did not get a lot of notice about this matter, so they did want to send their regrets.
Well, hopefully he's out selling something.
It's his anniversary.
Well, there's that too. Divorce is expensive.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I move we approve the allocations as presented by staff.
Have a motion from Mr. Bell.
Second.
Second by Mr. Burks. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And motion passes, and we'll now move to the consent agenda. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Moffitt. There is one note that I would like for everybody to hear moving into item 5, the consent agenda. Item A. At the last minute, we found a couple of things that didn't actually add up, whatever typos, whatever. So item A will be moved to the September meeting. So strike item A from the consent agenda. And from B down, I will ask council if there's any item on the consent agenda that they would like to remove for individual discussion and consideration. Council?
Mayor, with the exception of item A on the consent agenda, I move that we approve B through N as presented.
Okay. Have a motion by Mr. Burks to approve the consent agenda as presented minus item A. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Swears. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Consent agenda is approved. All right, item 6, I will open a public hearing on Community Development Director John Evans will present the initial testimony for a legislative hearing, case number RZ 25-13, on an application to rezone a parcel of land at 1315 Cliff Road, Randolph County parcel, from R15 low density single family to B2 general commercial. And Mr. Evans, you give us the high spots, and then we'll see what the applicant has to say.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. So this request is being made by Golden Waffle Real Estate 2 LLC, who is also the property owner. The property has no specific rezoning history that's identified on it. I will point out that the required notifications have been made, and so the notice was mailed by both the applicant and staff at the required times. Notice has been published in the newspaper, and there have been 2 signs posted on the property along both street frontages of Cliff Road and Emerson Drive, where the property also has frontage. And the property includes one parcel identification number that's just under half of an acre. It is within the corporate city limits. There is currently a single-family dwelling on the property that is unoccupied at this time. And there are no overlay districts that apply to the property. City utilities are available, as we'll get to on the map in just a moment. But in terms of transportation, both Cliff Road and Emerson Drive are local city-maintained streets. And there is a signalized intersection along Cliff Road and Dixie Drive, about 200 feet to the north of the subject property. So taking a look at the property, it's directly in the center of the map. It's outlined in blue. And so you see the areas that are shaded in yellow are residential that adjoin the property. So you have some R10 to the southwest, which is single family or 2-family, R15 to the southeast, which is a single family district. The long strand of red that you see along East Dixie Drive is commercial, and that is primarily B2 along that corridor. There's also commercial directly to the east of the property, directly to the west of the property across Cliff Road on Cox Avenue as well. So You kind of see that location. Also, some of the purple shaded parcels to the west, those have an industrial classification. So this property is labeled as Parcel A, and we show the adjoining parcels. The topography of the property drops off as you go from Cliff Road to the east. Each of those lines is a 2-foot change in elevation. And in terms of city utilities, we have both water and sewer along Emerson Drive, city water along Cliff Road. There is a sewer main on the property to the east as well. That's a city maintained line. The aerial map shows you the surrounding properties, so you do see that pattern of a long strand of commercial along Dixie Drive, and then the other commercial uses that adjoin on two sides of the property, as well as to the north. And the side of the property to the south has residential uses. And here you see a more two-dimensional view of the property with those adjoining parcels in the area. The property is outlined in red. So we have the B2 definition. I won't read it, but it is there on your screen and in your packets. The tax records show the property was built in, or the single-family dwelling on the property, rather, was built in 1940. If this is rezoned, the single-family use could continue if the house were to be occupied at some point, but there would be restrictions on expanding the property because of it being a non-conforming use once this rezoning occurs, if it is approved. And so this is a general request. There is no specific use or site plan that's identified as part of this request. This shows you the property from Cliff Road, just a recent photo of the property. So you see the dwelling there on the property. This is from Emerson Drive, so that does show kind of how the topography drops off as you go away from Cliff Road. This is looking north on Cliff Road. The property would be on the right, kind of in the background there. This is looking south on Cliff Road. You see residential uses in that direction. Then looking east on Emerson Drive, you see residential uses. I will point out the very first property to the left that you see along Emerson Drive, that is commercially zoned. So even though you don't see it being developed on that part of the property like you would on East Dixie Drive, it is commercially zoned with B2. This is looking west on Cox Avenue away from the property, which would be back behind where the photo is taken. And so the proposed land use map designates the property for commercial use on the entire property. It is in the primary growth area and also the central small planning area. In terms of goals and policies that support the request, we have a total of 5 that are generally supportive. The 3 that are not supportive are just acknowledging that the roadways are not technically classified as a minor thoroughfare, and there are some steeper slopes, and ideally there is some sort of a transitional zone between commercial and residential, or B2 specifically. But overall, we believe that the request does comply with the land development plan, and so our consistency and reasonableness statement is that the property is designated by the land development plan as commercial. That encourages development of new and redesigning of existing commercial uses. The central small area plan also talks about accommodating existing commercial uses and accommodating some future development. We also believe it's reasonable because we have a B2 zoning that adjoins the property on 3 different sides, and the property to the east was rezoned in 2016. That's further to the east on Emerson Drive and up to East Dixie Drive. So given this scenario, we believe that it is a reasonable request to allow some investment into the property for future expansion of commercial activities. And so the staff gives a positive recommendation on the request. Planning Board also reviewed this request at its meeting in July and offered a positive recommendation as well. So I'll be glad to take any questions. Yes, sir.
Any conditions like fencing or anything like that?
So there would not be with a general request. There would be front yard landscaping along both Cliff Road and Emerson Drive at a ratio of 1 shrub per 10 feet or 1 tree per 20 feet or some combination under the general ordinance requirements. But since it does abut a commercial property on both sides, it's unlikely that fencing would be required. The only exception is if there were to be a commercial development with multiple uses on the property, that could require some sort of fencing because it's a more intense use under the ordinance than the restaurant that it's next to.
But there's residences pretty close to that property there.
Sure.
And I just wanted a little protection for them. Could we work out something?
So, I mean, if it's Zone B2, it would just be the street yard landscaping on both Cliff and Emerson Drive.
The zoning ordinance would allow for a fence, though, if
It-
they wanted to establish one.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes fences are in lieu of the landscaping requirement.
They could be, possibly.
But the code will address it.
That's right, and we certainly could look at that as an alternative.
Other questions? John, before you sit down, I want to tell you, I like your new glasses.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
Feel a little easier on the eyes than the other one.
Okay, thank you.
Not quite as avant-garde. I don't know. I went to Owens.
All right,
John's mellowing in his old age.
no other questions of Mr. Evans? All right, then I will ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address this request on behalf of the applicant. Hey, come up here. I didn't realize that was you.
Mayor Smith and City Council, thank you for hearing our consideration today, and the City Manager also. I'm Ken Green, I'm one of the owners, and Patty, Lucas, and Lisa. They own the Golden Waffle primarily, Patty and Lisa, of course. And this lot has been something that's been on the radar for a long time. You know, the Golden Waffle, anybody that goes there, and I know some of you do, it's a rather busy place in the parking lot, and we'd love to have a place for overflow parking at this time, and that's kind of what we're looking for. Really nothing else. We don't know what we want to do. We mothballed the house, cleaned it up, got rid of all the critters, the homeless people. So that's kind of where we stand today, and we saw that it was long-range plan for it, being in the city's plans for it to become commercial. So that's the reason we went ahead and were able to purchase it, and, you know, are standing here before you today.
Anyone else who would like to speak to council on this issue? Okay, council, you got action to take. You can discuss this a little bit before anybody makes a motion if you need to.
Mayor, based on the consistency and reasonableness statement presented and the information presented by Mr. Evans and others, I move we approve this rezoning request related to 1315 Cliff Road as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Heath. We have a motion by Ms. Heath to approve the request. Do I have a second?
Second.
Where was that? Mr. Trogdon?
Multiple.
All right. Discussion?
I look forward to parking.
I don't go there as much as I would like to go there, but I do have a little difficulty parking.
I've watched this with interest since the early 70s, knowing all parties involved. And it's been most interesting, but this is an interesting day. Congratulations to you.
Yeah. I thought I should be listed as partial owner.
I thought
You had to recuse yourself, you know.
You just have a reserved seat.
All right. Hearing no further discussion and having a motion and a second, I will call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your patience and persistence.
Mr. Noto, I believe you're up next, and that is recommendations on central district study and strategy actions to undertake this fiscal year.
Thank you, Mayor. During the presentation by Walker Consultants of the final Central Business District study and strategy last month, the council was presented with several potential action items to consider related to improving parking availability downtown. As you remember, the good news, I believe, is that the report found that we are not at a point where paid parking or additional investment in parking structures is recommended, and that is good news. It is clear, though, and the report supports finding that we need to change how we are managing what has become a increasingly scarce public resource, and that is the publicly controlled parking resources downtown. Staff has reviewed the action items and determined that several can be carried out in this fiscal year with the current allocation of resources. So these are things that we think we can do over the next 10 months or so without additional financial resources. With your support, and that's what I'm asking here this evening, is consensus from the board on moving into implementing specific recommendations of that study. With your support, we would expect to be able to put in front of you ordinance amendments that pertain to delivery zones, how they operate, potentially additional loading and delivery zones downtown. We would also look at extending how they are used outside of business hours, and probably even extending from 20 to 30 minutes the availability of those short-term loading areas. Following a pretty robust educational campaign pertaining to parking restrictions, we would expect to begin a more consistent enforcement of the current parking restrictions that are on the books. We have varied over the years in terms of that enforcement posture, going from probably 210 parking tickets written a few years ago to only a few dozen in the most recent years. And our hope is that following some education of our downtown merchants, of our shoppers, the general public, that we can help folks to understand why it's important for those parking regulations to be followed. A part of that education will be installing additional public parking signage, improving our pavement markings that delineate those available parking spaces, and also we would advocate for completing some pedestrian safety enhancements, which include additional signage, potentially some pedestrian controls in the downtown area, and some illumination of those areas to help with the perception of safety. And when we did surveying as a part of this study, there was a perception that the parking locations, the availability of where those parking resources are, can feel unsafe, mostly because of the traffic, the volume of traffic that is navigating through downtown. And so there are things we believe we can do that can improve those perceptions. And so on this screen is just some illustrations of the various things that I just described in terms of short-term strategies to enhance the availability of parking. So you'll see public parking signage, some additional updated signage related to those loading areas. There is a recommendation in the plan for a few streets that we change from what may be 2 or 3 hour parking to all day, and vice versa. So we do have a couple of streets that we do want to look at and potentially put in front of you for an ordinance amendment that would modify the parking availability of those streets. And again, some will be increasing from short-term to long-term. There may be some that we tighten up a little bit based on the recommendations of the plan. We have an illustration of some additional signage related to the crosswalk there. Obviously, there's enforcement involves tickets when you need to write tickets to get people to pay attention to the restrictions. This is a copy of the police department's ticket book and the various penalties, violations that can be subject to those penalties. There are some more long-term strategies that are presented in that parking plan. These would be things that we would think about in a future fiscal year. These are some of this stuff may require some additional resources if we did want to implement. They include additional enforcement tools, perhaps seeking the authority from the General Assembly to adopt an immobilization ordinance or allow a vehicle to be booted for repeated violations of parking regulations and not taking care of those violations. I will note there's been quite a bit of conversation about the ticket amount for a parking violation, which is presently $5. We've had a lot of conversation internally about that, and there is some history behind that, and it is connected to some state legislation that leads us to believe that $5 citation is a sensible place to have a ticket amount, and it's not because that gets your attention, but it's because it's a pretty soft penalty for a first-time offender who may truly not know any better about what your regulations pertaining to parking are. That does not mean that we don't have the ability to use a citation to get a repeat offender's attention. So the law allows the police department to use the uniform citation for those repeat offenders, which would lead to the additional costs being incurred by that citation. And so I think the way that the city has this currently structured, my recommendation is to let us begin an enforcement campaign following a good amount of education and see if we're successful in changing behavior and getting people to follow those parking restrictions, and then we can talk about is there a need to increase that ticket amount. So at this point, that's our recommendation, because we do, as I said, as we talk more about it, and you have that first-time visitor who may just not know, a $5 ticket's a whole lot more, I think, gentle of a learning lesson than what could be up to a $50 ticket. And like I said, we have other ways to get attention for a scofflaw offender. Otherwise, part of what we will be talking about potentially in the next fiscal year is updating and replacing the existing wayfinding signage that's downtown. That's more than 10 years old now. It has served us well, but we do have preliminary designs for updated wayfinding signs. We can incorporate better signage pertaining to the parking assets as a part of that updated effort, but that will take some additional resources to implement. We have the potential to use license plate reader technology that could help with enforcement, make it much more efficient to manage the parking assets. Obviously, that's something that takes some resources too if we wanted to add that to our toolkit. The police department already has some of that technology, and so it may not take much to implement that. Lastly, the plan recommends that we pursue shared parking opportunities with private property owners to expand the availability of off-street parking, and that's something that we'll continue to do both this year and into future years. So again, this evening, this is just looking for consensus from the board on your comfort with us proceeding in the manner I described for the actions in this fiscal year. Again, this is only works if we're successful in raising awareness about our intent to enforce those parking restrictions. So you can expect to see quite a bit on social media, online, through traditional advertisements. We'll make use of downtown listservs, other ways to get in touch, face-to-face communications with merchants, the Chamber of Commerce, to let folks know that this will be coming. Public Works and Engineering would be involved in investigating, designing any necessary infrastructure improvements related to those efforts. And lastly, I just want to close by saying I've heard some suggestions that this is kind of a revenue, intended to be a revenue generator for the city. That's why we would be interested in enforcing it, and that certainly is not the case. It is not intended, and it will not generate revenue for the city. The truth is, if we're effective, we won't write many tickets, and that's what we all are looking for. So. Again, with your support, we'll move forward with implementing those short-term strategies, and in the future, you can expect to see some ordinances related to that effort.
If I may, Trevor, I appreciate your work on this, I really do. And I'll make a comment about the parking citation money amount. And I think with a very aggressive education process, we'll get to those folks who are right now maybe staying over a little bit too long. And I think that a $5 ticket is not going to be sufficient to minimize those who are abusing that time frame. Officers not going to write citations for a Class 3 misdemeanor for a violation of city code. It'll go to court, it'll be dismissed. And I think then what you're going to get is, oh, well, I'll just park here and I won't have to pay the money, and I'll get a citation, I'll go to court, it'll be dismissed. Because that's what's going to happen with a parking citation in district criminal court. So I think we really need to look seriously about the amount that we charge for parking tickets. And I understand we don't want to, have somebody who stays over 5 minutes, and I don't think that's what we're going to look for. But I think it's not going to be really effective if you write a $5 ticket, and most people won't even pay that, and then what your repercussion is they got a ticket for the bookmark. So I think we really need to look at increasing the amounts that we charge for that. Now, that's my 2 cents. I'm fine with moving forward where we are, but I think down the road we need to look at that.
Yes, sir.
I think there is a statute that limits, we can only charge to recover costs of enforcement. And I'm not familiar with it because I haven't had to implement that, but I recall that.
If we're talking on the civil penalty side, it's a state constitutional provision that we can't use the penalties if it's a criminal or infraction, in this case, be an infraction. If there's that looming, because money generated through those provisions of infractions or misdemeanors have to go to fund the public schools or the free public schools, and that would involve both the county and the city schools.
But if they're repeat offenders, didn't you say that there was sort of a next step that we could take?
That is what our approach would be. Mr. Bell probably knows better than me what could be the outcome of that approach, and I think that's what he's describing.
Well, and not only that, you're going to pay somebody to monitor who's got multiple tickets, and I don't think that'd be a valid or valuable use of our time and resources to do that.
And the council has that discretion. I believe it's up to $50 that you can increase that ticket amount to, and we will defer to your judgment if you want to do that immediately or if you want to.
No, I don't suggest that we go full bore, but
sure.
I think we just need to look at it
absolutely
as somewhat of a deterrent effect rather than
I agree with Mr. Bell. I've had many people over the years downtown say, well, hell, for $5, I'll park there all day. And I'll come back tomorrow and park there for $5. Problem is Byron would probably attest to, our police officer, APD officer back there, they don't even bother to pay the $5. They just tear it up and throw it away, right?
Some to do that, you're right.
So there is no deterrent there. Now, I'm not suggesting that we make it punitive, but sooner or later, after a strong education plan, we're gonna have to look at something that gets some attention.
And we can report back to you after we begin that campaign, we start that enforcement effort. If the results that are being described is what we're seeing, we will come back with a suggestion at that point.
I just put it on your
Absolutely.
radar. I don't mean to derail anything that we've got before us tonight.
I will say it's been pretty extensive discussion internally about doing that initially versus waiting. So that will be on our radar.
Any other questions or?
Yes, sir.
Bill?
Let me ask you about, it seems to me that one of the cheapest ways that we could get something pretty soon was work with private landowners around the edge of town. How would that work? Would we like get like a contract with them and like be able to put signs up and this type thing, especially for like weekends and events and stuff? How would that work kind of?
Yeah, I think it depends. We would respond probably to how formal the property owner wanted to make it. So, yeah, I think it could vary from everything from a property owner just saying I'm okay with you, with it happening, versus a property owner that very well may want a formal agreement and potentially a lease and a payment to use the property. Because keep in mind, there can be some insurance, implications for that property owner to allow that parking.
He's gonna want a certificate of insurance, and he's gonna want, us be named, or him be named additional insured on our policy, if it were me, and you approached me about it. I may not particularly care if anybody's parking on their business after hours, but the minute I give permission for it, I bought a liability I don't want. I'd rather deal with a trespasser just gone, of sorts, and just go. So I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong or anywhere to this, because Bill's right, there's a lot of good spaces that could be, but I think that you're gonna start down into a slippery slope. Counselor?
You're correct, and I'll just add, our risk pool is very reticent about adding. It's a reasonable request, what you said, as far as being added as an additional insured, but the risk pool was very reticent about adding anyone else that they're going to cover other than public entities that participate in the risk pool.
If you rent something, if you give them a penny consideration, you're gonna have to give them a certificate of insurance, and it's gonna have to say something, whether it's additionally insured or not. You will have a liability with it.
And these issues are why we think this is a kind of a longer term action for us to continue to study.
But the way it gets handled in larger cities is first off, during business hours, they put meters on there, and that's really popular. But anonymity of a Greensboro, Durham, Raleigh, and then these private lots, like I said, where parking ticket is. I think Greensboro's on up there $35-40 now. You got to really be late for a meeting to risk that. But the private lots, they're easy to do now. You just scan the little QR code and punch, and it's $5, $8, $10, whatever. That's typically how it's being handled from the private sector.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Very well explained.
Thank you.
Just to ask, Mr. Mayor, it is okay for them for the clerk to enter into the minutes that it's the consensus of the council to proceed in accordance with the presentation.
Yep, thumbs up? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Patton, this is a pleasure. You're not usually up here.
I'm not. Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. Let me introduce this. You're gonna present requests from third parties for granting easements across city property.
Yes, sir.
Item A, no. Eight A is an easement for the benefit of Duke Energy, that is needed to advance the Trade Street infrastructure project.
Yes, sir. All right. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. You have in your packets a request from Duke Energy Progress LLC for an approved 20-foot non-exclusive easement that would allow them to construct, operate, patrol, and maintain electrical and communication infrastructure on city-owned property off of Trade Street. You see on your computer, there's a map showing kind of their general plan to set a pole on DII's property and then you set transformers on our property to allow them to remove all poles and bury the electrical on Trade Street. Upon approval, this would allow, of the easement, this would allow for Trade Street infrastructure project to move forward to its next step, and staff would recommend adoption by reference.
Questions? Discussion?
Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution authorizing the grant of an easement to Duke Energy Progress by reference.
Have a motion by Mr. Bell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Where was that? Charles?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Comment. I'd like to make one comment.
All right, we have a comment from our manager.
Just for the council's information and city staff as well as those in attendance, if you see P2 on your screen, when that parking lot was redone by the city recently, we made provision for that pole to go there, so there's no infrastructure changes. There's not gonna be a lot of digging and tearing up of all that new parking lot that was just built, so we designed that in the beginning, so just so you know, we're not gonna tear up brand new infrastructure.
All right, at the other end of the street where you see P6, 7, and 8, we're gonna lose 3 parking spots there. That's 3 transformers right in the street.
Yes, sir.
Is that right, Trevor?
We will lose some parking. I'm not sure
Some?
the
That's
total
3
amount.
transformers.
Are they above ground?
Yes.
They're pad mount,
Can they be below ground?
only if we want to pay for a vault.
What does that cost?
I'm sure they can be. That's the estimate we have does not consider that.
Oh, they're not, it's expensive, and you got a number of considerations, but a parking space ain't cheap neither. Just ask the earlier applicants.
Well, I just wanted to throw that in. I've been looking at this map because I am a property owner, and I have to give them easement around my building. And, that's 3 parking spots right up there in front of my building.
It may not be, I think that's worst case scenario. It will be 3, it may be less, and we can discuss with Duke what underground, would look like for that.
I can tell you a vault is very expensive.
Yes, I mean,
Just no other way to do the project, without.
Yeah, we need to get the project done. We've been kicking this around for 2 or 3 years.
At least.
and at the risk of asking a question that could impose a delay, but could it be put in the side yard at the recreation center?
Potentially, I think we will have, this is Duke's plan based on our work with them for what we want to construct.
Grass there belongs to somebody.
Well, some of it's mine, but, that
Well,
doesn't
you want your
matter.
3 spaces?
That doesn't matter. The problem is you have to cross the Swartz parking lot
Yeah.
with a long trench to get back to the street.
Right, this, we can, this is either public right of way or city control is the premise of this plan.
And this is Wooten's best plan, in working tandem with Duke Energy.
Yes, sir.
But been long enough waiting on that. So, all right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion?
Oh, I got a bunch, but now's not.
All right, so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 8B is a temporary non-exclusive easement for a logging road that will benefit owners of property adjoining a city-owned parcel of land accessed by Little Lakes Trail.
Yes, sir. Council, in your packets, you have a request for approval of a temporary non-exclusive easement for a logging road off Little Lakes Trail. The non-exclusive easement will be located on existing access road on the City of Asheboro property. Upon approval, the grantee, the logging company, will be responsible for maintaining and repairing the road to its original condition once the logging is complete. The temporary non-exclusive easement would only last until December 31st of 2025. The staff recommends adoption by reference.
Questions? So the adjoining property owners have sold their timber, and this is the logging company getting in here to get it out.
It's done with along in coincidence with the property owner, yes, sir.
Is that a gravel road out there now?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of shape is it?
That section's not too bad. The farther you go up, it gets worse. Like around the lakes, it's in bad condition, but that part's not too bad. It's used fairly frequently. If you kind of see the open area through the trees, that's one of our, like dirt and, leaf yards for public works. They keep that section up pretty well, so.
I won't hold this up over that, but I will say a performance bond in an amount of $4,000 is woefully inadequate.
Yes,
That's all
that was where I was headed.
A million or 4,000?
At $30, $32 a ton list price for ABC stone, that'll get you about a few loads. I mean,
I'll get you enough to cover much of that road.
it's just enough to make you mad.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm not necessarily trying to hold this thing up and all, but I think that needs an inflationary look if this is a boilerplate item.
What's the linear footage of that road? You know?
I don't know off the top of my head, no, sir.
What was the question?
What was the length, like the footage of the road?
It's like a pretty good little ways down there.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I don't see a scale on there, but I guess it's every bit of 600-700 feet, 1,000 feet, just looking at the scale of the lake. I mean,
Yeah, they could mess up and drain mud into their lake, into the lake there.
But that's where I was headed with that question, that length and gravel.
all the way to the end.
4,000 won't touch it.
It's $4,000 will barely buy the pad that they're supposed to put in just to come out of the site.
Exactly.
I mean,
I think they need to bump that up. Just,
I'm sorry, what?
I said, I think they need to bump up that bond.
either that or we ought to have some consideration for their profit-motivated venture.
Was that their offer?
As
They have
far as
yeah.
I'm aware.
Do what?
As far as I'm aware, that's what I was provided, so.
It was suggested by them. I mean, I might have suggested that if I was doing the suggestion, but still.
Yeah.
Bonds per dollar are not very expensive, but you probably need a minimum of a $25,000 bond, and I would not say 50 is unreasonable given what could go on.
Make a mess in the morning.
Well, we have to undermine that stuff after they
Did
do it.
we,
The entire document came from them, and it was just consistent with the fact that given the unique nature of that road and the historic cooperation that's gone on between the property owners there and the city, so long as they made some changes, which involved, for example, the specific changes over non-exclusive, we got that added in, and the view was the city staff was not going to push the particular property owners, given our interest in maintaining that good relationship in that unique situation.
but the property owners aren't the one gonna damage the road and take all the timber.
Correct. But the property owners are the ones benefiting. So we can take a hard line,
Well-
but we just need to be aware of the consequences that can flow from that.
Can we approve this motion with a caveat that says we will try to renegotiate that $4,000?
No. If it's approved, it's
Either that or
approved.
push it to next month.
So is you considering 4,000 a hard line?
No, it's over the broader issue of the road.
The black portion of the road, the black and white hash portion.
You can see an element of that in the way that's drawn, the way it's labeled on there. That has been an ongoing discussion for some time.
Are you saying we need them bad as they need us?
Both parties benefit from a good relationship with each other.
All right, well, moving along.
I think that's a nicer way of saying yes.
Okay, well,
I got another way of phrasing it, but we'll wait.
did I get a motion?
No.
Not yet.
No.
May I have a motion?
Certainly, I'll make a motion, give an explanation of council. I think this is a mutually beneficial agreement, and I make a motion that we approve it.
And may I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bell. All right, now, further discussion? I think we kicked it around. Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
The devil's always in the details, Counselor.
Yes, it is.
Motion carries.
Thank you, council.
You could have led with that.
Good job, Spencer. Mr. Sugg, item 9, you will present for council action an ordinance. Michael, are you still here? Yes, sir. Okay.
As is my role tonight, I appreciate the introduction. As my role tonight is to go into more devil in the details. This is dealing only with one tool in the arsenal that the city uses to deal with the broader category of nuisance abatement and trying to solve code compliance problems. This is focused only at the junk motor vehicle issue. Others can be addressed by other methodologies. The junk motor vehicle issue, this is that's in chapter 90. Where the detail comes up is that chapter 90, as it is currently written, so there's a lot of things that are fine the way it is, but we need to refine it a little more when you're dealing with a situation that you're not getting cooperation and you have to assume that you're going to have to take a more litigious approach to it to bring about compliance. The current chapter 90 combines the various general statutes that provide enabling legislation for the city council to enact ordinances. In particular, there is one statute that says that enables you to enact ordinances dealing with abandoned vehicles and junk motor vehicles. And it just show how close it is, it's 168-303. There's another ordinance, 168-303.2, which also deals with junk motor vehicles and abandoned vehicles. The issue that comes up is under the one ordinance, and right now it's all grouped together in the city code, which is fine, nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't put you in as advantageous position as what staff is advocating, and I in particular am advocating, because under the 303 statute, that only gives you authority to act if you've got if you're both both junk and abandoned, and if you're on private property as opposed to public property, you've got cooperation where the private property owner is asking the city to take action. They're stuck basically with a junk vehicle on their property. The 303.2 statute enables the city council to enact legislation where the code enforcement officer can look beyond the property owner, and if they don't have if they are not willing to say they object, or they're not willing to ask the city to help, that provision enables the city to move forward and say, we've evaluated the factors, it's a detriment to the community, it's an indirect problem as far as health and safety, it affects aesthetics, all of the property values, all of those issues can be weighed, and if the cost to the property owner is not as great as the benefit, so the benefit of the city in helping the community is greater than the cost to the individual property owner, and it properly meets the definition of not moving and all those different things, different categories, then the city can move forward with ordering removal. So with that said, this is designed to get a section within Chapter 90 that clearly and unequivocally is based entirely on 168-303.2 to take action when the owner, lessee, occupant of the real property is not cooperative when an order comes to remove the junk motor vehicle. So with that said, it also, as a practical matter, the city wants to be positioned to where an administrative search warrant can be obtained, because if you don't get cooperation at some point to notify the people involved, you're going to need to get an administrative inspection warrant where the code enforcement officer has the ability, even if you're told to stay off the property, comply with the law, act on the basis of a warrant issued by the magistrate. You can go onto the property to get the VIN number and then access, and the ordinance to back it up, and go through DMV to get information, because just because the property's on, the vehicle is on property where a tenant is, you don't know until you check. Is it the same individual who may be having a claim to that vehicle? Run into VIN, get you that information. You'll need to get on the property. And that leads me to the next point. It makes it clear that it's unlawful to not comply with an order to remove a junk vehicle. It's unlawful to have more than one that's not properly concealed, in the way the ordinance says you can conceal one junk motor vehicle. If it's two, it reinforces, and a lot of this is already in the existing code, but it's just trying to clarify it, that if you have multiple, you have to have it inside a structure. The other issue that comes up is dealing with due process. In due process, the revisions that are being proposed add specific factors for the code enforcement officer to consider, to give the notice, if you, to make sure you're getting notice, to put that notice on the window or a conspicuous place of the car no less than 7 days in advance of when they're going to be told to remove it. Things like that to get into the weighing of the facts, weighing of the evidence. And it builds in an appeals process where if someone wants to challenge the determination made by the code enforcement officer, they do have an appeal right. It'll stop the process, but that has to be heard by the city manager within 30 days. Then we move forward. It also sets up the proceeding to have the city contract with a towing company to take care of actually towing the vehicle, and then rather than the city handle trying to sell the vehicle, if they don't go and redeem it, they being whoever has right to ownership of it, the towing company can follow their authorization that's laid out in Chapter 20 and in the mechanic lien statutes for how they can dispose of the vehicle to recover towing costs and storage fees that rack up once it's removed from the property. So that is what is the goal. That's what's laid out in the ordinance that's in front of you. I am going to obviously answer any questions that you may have, and we can address any concerns. But I really, in order to make this move along efficiently, would like to get a vote tonight with the directions, changes to move forward. But since that element, you may recall from the reform legislation that happened back in 2021, if there's a criminal element, criminal law element to the city ordinance, it can't be adopted on its first reading. This will be the first reading of this ordinance. So therefore, there's a vote. It will come back, because in here, the way it's drafted, it has an effective date of September 15th. That is set up to have the final vote on the next council meeting, regular meeting, which will be September 4th. I will use that time period to continue to talk with Mr. Garner, anyone else in code enforcement. Any of you have any questions or concerns, anything that comes up, because the goal is to make it practical, to make it where it's an effective tool on this one aspect of the problem. And we'll come back, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Having read over this and dealing with this off and on in my private business, I'll compliment on a couple of things, especially I think the item 3 on 2 of 8 there in 303.2, the 5-year-old thing. That's but you've moved it from $100 to $500,
Correct.
And that will lead into the next thing that I was going to suggest. Under nuisance vehicle 1 through 8, that's your bread and butter, especially on the private property scenario. You know, because man, that describes 90% of them. I mean, especially a pickup truck with garbage in the back. I mean, it's easy to do. Whereas with the $500 threshold, I've had more luck in because oftentimes, you know, if you got somebody's just a hoarder and a junker, it ain't that's a different animal, but. They've run out of options, you know, and it was cheaper to, they use these little computers in these cars, cost $1,000, $1,200, and that makes an $8,000 car worth nothing. They go get another renter ride, and that thing's just got to sit there. So what I found is, if I'll call the crusher, I don't even bother with that detail. I got 2 prices: $400 if you got a title, $250 if you don't. I just buy it from them right there on the spot and drag it down to my yard. Then I get the crusher to come get it and give my money back. You know, but my point being is that could be a tool for Chuck. I'm not suggesting the city actually buy these cars, but call the crusher for them. If you know, they may have a problem too. And these items are excellent to make another alternative work. So I think the language is excellent and very, very useful. And if you can suggest that, you don't necessarily have to go through all these other items.
Thank you for the input.
I'm happy to see this new language that we have in here. It's, up on the north side of town where I live, Chuck, it's a speed dial on my phone. I mean, there's a place near where you turn to go down my road, and I'm looking on here, it's like, where the weeds are so tall. You couldn't see a license, you couldn't see it. It was parked on gravel, by the way, but now the weeds are so tall, you could never see the license plate if it's actually on there or not. So this gives Chuck some teeth to enforce, to make this. I think I made the comment the other day, they were stacked in there like squares on a Rubik's Cube. I don't know how you get them out of there. You've got to start at one end and start just pulling them out. But, thank you for doing this.
Often, they don't know how to get them out there either. Call the crusher for them.
Appreciate the feedback, and it may look a little different when it comes back, because I'm going to continue to have the dialogue with Chuck and anyone else with code enforcement experience on things we can do to improve the practicality of what the ordinance is trying to empower.
The one that's in question at this point is the one that's been non-responsive, right?
That is my understanding, yes.
Yes.
I'm working on the premise. that you
Yeah,
have to deal with someone who's
and I
not gonna
think we need
cooperate.
to enforce these ordinances if they're non-compliant. I mean, you're all part of a community, and you got neighbors around there and everything like that, and they deserve to be protected and have that protection, as you were speaking. And this gives us teeth. Now, granted, I mean, there's a ways to go as far as what you were talking about earlier this evening, but it's a start in the right direction. I mean, it's not an abuse, but I mean, you're not gonna go this way unless they force you to do it.
That's the whole idea, that there are plenty of off-ramps before you get to the
Gotcha.
most
Yeah.
drastic
And
action.
as a rental property operator, these are good tools for me. I'm not fighting this. You know, they make my life easier.
Good point.
Through Chuck, we've had lots of conversations, lots of warnings, and when they just say no, or they don't respond, then we're ready to do something. All right, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move we adopt the ordinance amending chapter 90 by the first reading by reference.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Burks, I'll give you one.
There you go.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, and that will be back on your agenda in September.
Pardon?
Said thank you, and this will be back on your agenda in
All
September.
right, so obviously you weren't planning on me being here tonight.
Covered all bases.
Presiding officer.
Try to leave plenty of options.
That's a catch-all.
Yeah, I don't like getting cornered, so.
Just
it's
in
there.
case.
That's right.
All right, what do we got there? Goodness. Well, first of all, the 17th of August is Eddie Burke's birthday.
Yay!
And the next time we're all together, Eddie's buying. All right, so Sunday the 10th is concert series special occasion band in Bicentennial Park, and maybe it won't rain. Friday the 15th is city council candidate orientation, and that is a event designed to get the candidates up to speed on some of the things they may or may not know about the city operations, and so that when they go to a campaign event, they're not standing out there saying, oh, this and that and so forth, and find out that it's not actually that way. So,
Clearly have not much understanding of politics. Modern campaigning.
no, right, so, we just wanna avoid, when you have 14 people running for council and 4 people running for mayor, it's probably gonna be a little difficult to keep facts as facts. And, you know what my dad always told me, I know what I know, don't confuse me with the facts. So, I'm sure we'll hear it all.
There'll be refreshments.
There will be refreshments. All right, 15th, Chicago Rewired in Bicentennial Park on August 15th at 6:30. That is a tribute band for the famous band Chicago. 16th is Thrive Randolph County Veterans Letters from Home, world-class performance duo at Sunset Theater. 17th, Memorial Pool closes for summer. North Asheboro Pool remains open on weekends through Labor Day. 18th is mayor's meeting that Donald and I will attend at the county. Well, actually, we're hosting it. We're hosting it. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir, at the rec center.
Yeah, we're hosting it, but it's a meeting of all the mayors in the municipalities and the managers, and it's a very productive time, hour and a half of very productive discussion. Thursday the 21st is comedian John Reap at the Sunset Theater. Friday the 29th is Back in Time 80s Rewind at the Sunset Theater. August 30th, Saturday the 30th, From King to Country, a tribute to country and classic Elvis, Sunset Theater. Saturday and Sunday the 30th and 31st is Labor Day Shootout Tournament, drawing about 5,000 visitors at the Cone Health Zoo City Sportsplex. That's a big soccer tournament. And that is exactly why we built that place. You bring 5,000 people to town from all over the East Coast, primarily South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, and various other. It's big economic development. Saturday and Monday, the 30th and 1st, Labor Day holiday, City Rec Center closed, and Monday, September 1st at Labor Day, city offices closed. Let me add my 2 cents here. Did you notice how many of those events were at the Sunset Theater? Sunset Theater is the icon of downtown Asheboro. It's one of our big assets as a performing arts venue, and there are not, just like the Sportsplex, there are not enough weekends to accommodate everybody who wants to use it. So, I think that's all I've got. Start down here with Kelly, ladies first.
It's great to see you sitting in that seat, Mayor.
Thank you.
We're really glad to have you here this evening. I know we've all been thinking about you, so it's good to see you sitting there. Want to thank our Public Works crews, police, fire. I do this about every meeting. We've had some pretty serious extremes recently between the heat and all the rain. So just want to recognize our staffs for dealing with that. And I also want to mention specifically 2 people. We had a city employee who is celebrating her 40 years of service with the city, Joanne Cockman, who's been in the city manager's office and helps to keep all of us straight, has helped to keep multiple city managers straight, mayors, et cetera. So want to honor her. And also want to remember Linda Carter, councilwoman who served the city on council for over 20 years, or for almost 20 years, and served the city in many other ways. So certainly thinking about her and her families. May she rest in peace.
Well said, thank you. Mr. Swears.
As you mentioned, David, with Mayor, with the Sportsplex, one of our doors works part-time at Mustard Seed, I guess I know. And She was working a couple of Saturdays ago, and she said over half the people in the store were out-of-town people that were here for a Sportsplex event. And she said it was the busiest day they've had in a long time. So the Sportsplex brings a lot of people from the zoo, from out there into town, and it is certainly benefiting our hotels and our downtown merchants and restaurants.
Thank you, Charles.
Mayor, several things. I don't want to belabor the meeting too much longer, but good to see you back in the saddle. And I listened to your interview on public radio. You did yeoman's work, and you did the city proud. You did a great job with that interview. And for those out there, there's a link, I think maybe on the city website that Mayor Smith had given an interview with a local affiliate of public radio and spoke highly about Asheboro. I commend that to your attention. And I'd also like to wish a happy belated birthday to John Evans, early birthday to Eddie Burks, happy early birthday to Alyssa on the 23rd, happy birthday to Debbie on the 25th. Lots of things going on, and I wonder what was going on in December to have all these always birthdays. But happy birthday to all y'all.
It's cold.
Yeah, that's it, that's it. There is one thing, Kelly and I have been active in downtown Asheboro cleanups through the Keep Randolph County Beautiful. And it is readily apparent that folks like to smoke. And what I'd like to see us think about is some method to eliminate or reduce the number of cigarette butts in Bicentennial Park, particularly at, at the fountain and where the benches are. Don't want to promote smoking, but it happens, and invariably there's just piles and piles of filters. You know, I was in Canada, and I went to a little country store, and it had a bucket, and it was called a butt bucket, and it's where you put your butts. So I think that may be something we can do or think about doing to either enforce a littering ordinance or citation, or make it available to have a place other than the mulch to put, their filters. So it's something to look forward to. Don't want to end this night on a negative, but that's something I think would benefit us.
Definitely. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Yeah.
Don, you got anything?
Yeah, we have a technical correction to the SCIF grant that we got. They moved it from one pot of money to another at the state, and it had a limit on it, and for Trade Street. And I guess, Debbie, do we need to take action on that while we're still convened, or we need to wait and do that later? That's something the legislature passed.
So my recollection is the council has already authorized that funding to be reassigned from ACME to the Trade Street infrastructure project. What we've been waiting on is the technical correction from the General Assembly.
Saying that it's been done.
Yeah, I think we've gotten that. Yeah,
I have had no correspondence relating to that.
Yeah, it was in, they sent it to us. I will send it to you.
Okay. We would follow up with the budget amendment to move those funds to the Trade Street, and then it would be available for whatever the project has.
Gotcha.
It's good news.
Oh, I want to just tell you that when I did my Meet the Mayor interview with UNC Radio, UNC Public Radio, and it was in Durham, and I was unable to take myself, and Donald took me, looked after me, and it went well. By all accounts, it went pretty well. So we got Asheboro and the zoo on the map mentioned, and I enjoyed doing it, but I could not have done it had Donald not taken me over there. So, Walker?
Just glad to see you back. I too enjoyed the interview and thought you did a magnificent job handling the varied field of questions there. Much to admire there for what I consider Mr. Asheboro, but we've got a lot going on and much to be excited about.
We had some excitement last Friday night at the ballpark. That was plenty exciting with the rain coming down sideways and the lightning and the thunder that accompanied it. As we were hosting Toyota at Prairie Park, and we had a lot of Toyota executives that were there. The game did finally get underway 2 hours. They usually, it's about 7:30, that's about when they come. But anyway, the game last Friday night finally got the first pitch at 8:45 instead of 6:30. But it was good. The executives from Toyota, I think they had a great time. All the ones that I interacted with seemed to have a good time. And the pitcher from University of South Indiana, who pitches for the Zookeepers, was there, and he's a Japanese student. And I think he probably got more time with people that wanted his autograph and picture because it was raining than they would have had he been out there on the mound the entire time. So, and I left, unfortunately, as the 6th inning was beginning, we were up 2-0. I get up in the morning, find out we lost 3-2. So that was a disappointment. But anyway, it was a good event, I think, overall. The mayor was there. I was happy to see the mayor there, as we're always happy to see him and everything. And we had a good turnout in spite of the rain. So, and I think Donald said that Toyota was so happy they want to do a zoo event.
Yeah, they're doing 2 zoo events with their employees and have asked that Hiro Yamada be present to sign more autographs.
Yeah.
It's the 16th and 23rd.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir.
Bill?
I just say, I agree. I thought it was a great event, even with the rain. Of course, it caused a lot of togetherness there because we were right on.
Yeah, we were real close together.
So I mean, it was wonderful seeing people from another culture like that and seeing them interact with their families, and I thought it was great.
David, I'm gonna echo what everybody else says. It's good to have you back. Where you belong, right there.
Thank you.
And also, I don't want to end on a downer, but Walker, I want to give condolences to you and the loss of your mother. I don't think we've met since that's happened. You've been in our prayers, and yes, we're with you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Joey. Okay, well, let's call this meeting adjourned. I appreciate everybody being here. And those of you that felt compelled to stay for the whole meeting, good for you.
Pick up your Iron Butt Club certificate.
Listen, you don't